Yes. How far will AI go in utilizing the vast expanse of data available across the internet? Could it one day manage large corporations, oversee major sporting events, or even issue rulings on Islamic finance? Now, in the context of Islamic finance, Sharia scholars have been entrusted with the role of signing off on behalf of the creator, deeming transactions either permissible or impermissible. And in issuing their religious verdicts on particular issues or fatwas, they are required to to take into account a whole bunch of factors, particularly the underpinning Sharia rulings. Now, with the serious technological developments made to AI, are we potentially heading towards a future where it doesn't just assist, but potentially replaces experts, where the line between artificial and intelligence becomes indistinguishable? Well, I don't have the answers myself, but thankfully we are in the presence of a few notable field experts who may meaningfully contribute to the discussion. All right, so we have two speakers in particular. We have the main speaker and the speaker who will be delivering the opening remarks, right? So I'll introduce them accordingly. So firstly, we have a distinguished figure in Islamic finance, holding a PhD and MSc from INSEF, Malaysia. He also serves as an IOFI certified Sharia advisor and auditor, CISA, a man or mufti whose prowess is complemented by his practical knowledge, exemplified by his being a registered Sharia advisor with the Securities Commission of Malaysia and a certified Islamic finance executive from Etika, Dubai. He's the founder and CEO of Adil Advisory, specializing in Sharia advisory, consultancy, and training services. He's the co-founder of IFA Consultancy, a pioneering institution promoting Islamic finance through training programs, workshops, and consultancy services. Now, with leadership roles at Ethis, which is an Islamic fintech group, he contributes significantly to Islamic fintech, particularly in Indonesia and Malaysia. He's an active Sharia committee member for institutions in multiple countries, engaging with 2 working groups for the Governance Standard Committee at IOFI. He holds professional membership with ASAS and SIF. Recognized for his vigorous contributions, he received the BAF 2023 award from the Bangladesh IOFI Fellowship Forum. He's none other than Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan, who I would have the honor to call upon to give his opening remarks. Tafaddal Mufti.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Muhammadin Sayyidil Mursaleen wa ala alihi ajma'in. Thank you so much, Brother Muhammad Sano, for your kind introduction. And I thank all the participants today and our key speaker, Brother Ahmed Sabri, our long-term friend. And it's very pleasing to have you today, inshallah, for this session, exciting session on the topic Fatwa Crisis, AI, and straight to the role of Sharia advisors. I wouldn't take much time. Basically, as an introductory remark, I would like to set the context, like why we have this topic today. As we know, with the emergence of AI, by the way, I may be wrong calling it an emergence of AI, because AI has been there in different forms, may not be so advanced in the previous years, but AI or artificial intelligence, in the sense that it has automated things that we have been doing in our day-to-day tasks, and also it had created intelligent reports and analysis for various aspects. So it has been there, but what hasn't been there earlier and what has been emerging for the last 1 or 2 years is that the natural language processing, or NLP, which basically denotes that the AI understands what we talk about and how we talk as humans, and it can produce the answers in a very humanly manner, so that it makes it more relatable for us, and we can utilize AI for even more functions. So with this advancement and what we have seen over the last more than 1 year, that all the major technology companies, including Microsoft, Google, and others, OpenAI, for example, and others, they have been investing hugely on AI. And now, when we look at the applications of AI in the finance industry, and particularly Islamic finance industry, we see that already many has been utilizing AI in different manners. For example, for Sharia research, for maybe a bit of Sharia compliance check. Then also customer support, knowledge, for example. Now, with these, there is a there is a number of perspectives that we have seen which are emerging. On one hand, people think that this AI could be a threat to the role of not only Sharia advisors but many others. For example, those who are working on risk management, working on legal and various different aspects. So likewise, it would also be a threat to the role of Sharia advisors, meaning that we may not need human Sharia advisors, rather we may rely on AI. On the other hand, we have also a perspective which denotes that we don't have any issue with the AI, rather things will be as usual, business will be always as usual, and AI will be facilitating many other stuff for different jobs or different things that we have within the Islamic finance industry other than Sharia advisory roles or Sharia compliance functions. So I think this session today is brought here to learn from the experts, to get these perspectives into place so that we can have a clear perception, and with that we can have a clear direction on how we can use AI and what are the things we should be aware of, what are the challenges and what are the different elements we need to be aware of and we need to be careful of when utilizing AI. So with this context, I will leave my introductory remarks, and I wish our expert today, Sheikh Ahmed Sabri, will do a great job, inshallah, in explaining these things. And please engage with the session, with the expert. Please ask questions, and, and we hope that this session will pave ways to give us a clear direction on how and in what manner we can use AI, particularly for Sharia compliance functions. Thank you so much again, Brother Mohammed Sano and Sheikh Ahmed Sabri, for joining us. Jazakumullah khair.
All right, thank you very much, Mufti Yusuf. Dr. Mufti Yusuf Sultan, Jazakallah khairan for those very informative words and opening remarks. All right, so on to our main course, right, or the main speaker, I should say, the respected Sheikh, right, who is an Islamic finance specialist, an IOFI certified advisor and auditor. He has served as Sharia auditor for a number of fintech platforms and asset management firms, most notably Ethis Crowd and Global Sadaqah. He has a strong background in Arabic and completed memorizing the Quran at the tender age of 14 years old. He holds a bachelor's in Islamic jurisprudence in Arabic. His vast industry experience renders him well adept in interpersonal, intercultural, as well as intergenerational communication, which is manifested through the nonprofit projects that he built, the extensive training sessions on how to build teams and manage events on an international level that he has conducted, as well as the teams comprising of members from diverse cultures and ethnicities that he has led. He is currently a senior associate at Deloitte, right? The Bahrain office, and he is obviously none other than a dear brother of mine, Ahmed Sabri. Sheikh, are you here?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, yes. How are you doing? How are you feeling today, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, I'm okay. Alhamdulillah, I'm okay. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you for the introduction.
That's the first and most important question, right? Now that we have ascertained the mental state, the physical state of the Sheikh, we can get into the discussion right away. Right. So first question to you, Sheikh Ahmed, is what has been the impact of AI on a global level, right? And particularly within the Islamic finance industry? How would you describe the impact that the disruption, I should say, that AI has caused in the various sectors, but particularly within the Islamic finance industry?
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. First and foremost, I'd just like to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all the participants, organizers. Thank you very much, Brother Muhammad Sano and Sheikh Dr. Yusuf Sultan for inviting me. I'm honored to be here today, and I appreciate the invitation and and your giving me the opportunity to share on this very what can I say, very relevant topic for the times that we live in today. Um, as far as the question, Brother Muhammad, AI has been around actually for some time. Uh, for those who are well aware of it, for those who are in the IT industry, but I think the major development over the last few years is that AI has now become popular amongst the masses. So we, the non tech experts or the non tech researchers now have different forms of AI that have, just multiplied in front of us over the last 2 or 3 years very rapidly. So as a research field, however, this has existed for probably more than 10 years. So it's just that the easy use version for us, as the common people, is now available. That's number one. And the disruption, when you say disruption, I would say that it has disrupted many areas. Islamic finance, I don't include one of them. But yes, as you have mentioned before, like in the arts, people creating poetry, people creating different kinds of art with AI, and the human beings cannot tell that this art was created by a computer. That's a major disruption. So now artists of all different kinds, some of them, are protesting that, this has to be regulated because they can, basically put us out of jobs. They're scanning people's faces, and they're starting to be able to even create like digital actors where they don't even have to pay actors for for TV and movies. They can just scan somebody's face and put a digital version of them there, and make the people unemployed. So in the arts, yes, there is definitely a disruption. There's major conversations happening, even to the level of the writers. The AI can create a script, for a film, and humans can't tell the difference. So in art, yes. In technology, or let's say in other fields, maybe programming, the AI is definitely able to do a lot of things to make processes faster. But I would say for Islamic finance, I haven't seen any disruption. I've seen some applications, but I haven't seen any major disruption so far.
Okay, that's a very interesting statement over there, right? I think most of us were expecting the opposite, right? Which is for you to, we're expecting to hear that it has indeed disrupted the industry, where you have, you know, uh, advisory, right? That is, let me say, yes, advisory that is issued by these robo advisors, right? Where the mashayikh are to some extent being sidestepped, but you've come and said that there is no genuine or fundamental disruption, right? It's more of a general thing. Okay, so the
Let me speak on that a
I
little
would
bit.
ask is perhaps what are the advisors generally? Could you give a sense of what is Sharia advisor's role?
You were breaking
Oh, is
up
my
a little
connection
bit. Can
better?
you please hold on? Yeah, yeah. Okay, now you're okay. Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. Sorry. Apologies about that. Okay, I was asking so I was saying that it's quite interesting that you mentioned that it doesn't that AI has not had a disruptive impact on the Islamic finance industry. I personally was expecting to hear the opposite, right? But now that you've made it clear that it hasn't had a particular disruptive effect within the Islamic finance industry, um, the question I would ask then is, in relation to the context of what we're discussing, right? What is the role of a Sharia advisor, right, within the industry?
Okay.
In particular, yes. What
Okay.
is the role of a Sharia advisor?
So let me address one point two things actually before going to this next question. You have some beeping coming on from your side. If you can, please. I think maybe it's from the notifications. Uh, okay. So you mentioned two things, of course. You mentioned AI and you mentioned robo advisors. Okay. I think we have to get some definitions taken care of in order to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. Because AI is somewhat of an umbrella term, and people may think of different things when they think of the term AI. So AI is an umbrella term for artificial intelligence. But I have to ask, just to make the audience take a moment to think, what is intelligence? Okay. So in the past, intelligence in a computer world was considered as mathematical ability. If we think about the first computers, their main function was to process, mathematical problems. Case in point, the calculator. Let's say that's our base, most simple, computer. Maybe 30, 40 years ago, it was just a calculator. What was it? What was the intelligence of it? Doing mathematical problems, adding, subtracting, dividing, multiplying. And then after that, it got a little bit more advanced. You can imagine about your scientific calculators, right? You've seen the scientific calculator has a lot more buttons, a lot more features. That was the next level. Then you actually had your PCs. What were your PCs able to do? A little bit more than that, but it wasn't something so advanced. So intelligence has usually had mathematical value associated with it. And then later on, I think in maybe the 80s, they started to develop the first computers that could play chess. Okay. So the next level of intelligence, so-called intelligence, was the ability to play games of strategy. So it was, I think, like it was in the 80s, it was the first computer to beat a grandmaster of chess happened. And then there's another game from Asia, I think from Korea or China called Go, and they developed a computer that could beat the master of this game called Go. It's played with a lot of white and black pieces on a big board. Okay, so these are the different levels of intelligence. So now AI has expanded more, where you have a few different things. You have machine learning, you have deep learning, you have like what Sheikh Yusuf mentioned, the natural language processing. So all of these things are coming under AI, but there are different functions of it. And I think a lot of people don't know what these things are. So if we keep saying AI, but we're not clear on what we're referring to, we could be talking about two different things, but using the same terminology. So a lot of people nowadays they assume AI means Chat GPT. Okay, because that's the most popular thing that has come into the hands of the masses right now. But Chat GPT is a product that is built on top of the different things that I mentioned, like machine learning and deep learning and natural language processing. So and there's more to it as well. You have these LLM, large language model, which are used for creating things like Google Translate. Google Translate is built on LLM, large language model, where it's learning how to understand language. That's one aspect of it. So AI has a number of branches that come under it, under the umbrella term. So when we say AI is doing this, AI is doing that, we have to be a lot more specific. So we'll come back to that. Now, you mentioned about robo advisors. Okay. Robo advisors have been around for a while. Robo advisors are not considered AI. A robo advisor is basically it's a kind of application or software that facilitates the process for advanced trading of equities. So in the Islamic finance space, you will have, for example, Wahid Invest, that is a robo advisor. They will buy and sell equities on your behalf that are Sharia compliant. But it's not using deep learning. It's not using machine learning. It has its own technology, but it's not considered an artificial intelligence. It's not designed to think. It's not designed to learn. It's not designed to to communicate with human beings in a human kind of way, the way some of these AIs are done. It is a unique technology that is designed to optimize the investments, and there's different levels of robo advisors as well. There are some that have basic features and some that are more advanced that do live trading. uh, but in the Islamic finance space, the ones that are around, they buy and they sell the equities that are available in the halal Sharia indices that are available in the market. So it's a little bit of an automated way of doing something that um, can also be done, quite frankly, manually as well. So this I do not consider it as artificial intelligence. So anything related to robo advisory, that's within the fintech space, but not within artificial intelligence. Okay, so that's just to give some definitions for some context.
So the question that you the question that was asked was, what is the role of a Sharia advisor? You gave the technical.
Yes.
You've made some corrections
Yes.
to my statements, right? Wonderful. Jazakallah khairan. So now coming back to the question of what is the role of a Sharia advisor, and from there we're going to establish what the link is between AI and the Sharia advisors. But we want to get the viewers on board to understand what the role of a Sharia advisor is. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think it's gonna be quite easy to answer this question. That the Sharia advisor, in the general sense, is there to provide advice, insight, and guidance on Sharia-related issues in whichever institution that he may be assigned to. So, of course, it's Sharia advisors that are, I mean, in the most popular roles are related to financial institutions, Islamic financial institutions, and they need to give opinions about transactions and structures and other matters that have Sharia implications. So I mean, they are the guiding individuals for the financial institutions or the decision makers in the financial institutions when it comes to developing products or approving products, and also related to some governance issues as well inside of the institutions, financial institutions.
All right, Jazakallah khair. I think it's quite clear now. As you mentioned, they offer guides and opinions on matters relating to the Sharia as it pertains the financial activities of individuals or corporations. So the follow-up question then is, and I think before we get into the real discussion, right, as someone who's been in the Islamic finance space for more than a decade, right, the question I would ask you in particular is, what can you tell us about the perception of Sharia advisors towards AI, right? How do they perceive it? Do they embrace it? Do they support it? Are they skeptical about it? Do they completely reject it? What exactly is the stance, the general overview stance of Sharia advisors towards these artificial intelligence systems?
I have to apologize to your brother. That question, in order for me to answer it very well, I would have to do a lot of interviews.
Okay.
It's a very good question. It's a relevant question,
Okay.
but unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to, excuse me, to interview, Sharia advisors to get those exact opinions. I
I
have
see.
some colleagues, within the Islamic finance industry,
Uh-huh.
so I can say, based on my discussions, with people in the industry, everybody's curious to know how far this technology can go. People are definitely experimenting with it, putting in Islamic questions, Sharia questions, seeing what kind of answers are coming out. And I've seen some people even try to make some build some apps on top of the existing technology. So people are interacting with it. People are curious about it. I don't think any major problems have happened, so there's no big alarm that's happening. But people are, they're cautiously, those that are interested are kind of cautiously experimenting or just watching the space to see what happens. Yeah, that's what I can see so far.
Okay, so that's your honest assessment of based on
Yeah,
experience.
with my Yeah, with my limited, interactions. Inshallah, if you give me this question in advance before the next session, I'll try to get a lot more data for you, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah, khair, inshallah. I think this is right. So you said it's a stance of curiosity, right? A general stance of curiosity. Okay, that's quite interesting, right? So the question I would ask from there is, and I think this is an assumption I'll be making, so do correct me if I'm wrong, right? Technology, right? Let me say we are in the age of technology, right? And hence it is going to be very difficult, right, for anyone to advance, for any institution, for any individual to advance whatever cause that they're, promoting, without getting on board, right, the tech bandwagon, if you like, right? So the assumption I was trying to make over here is that artificial intelligence or other forms of technological advancements would find their way, if not have already found their way into the Islamic finance industry. So the question then I would ask is, to what extent should technological advancement tools like the AI, for example, be used within the Islamic finance industry, particularly as it pertains to Sharia decision making, right? The process, the flow, and whatnot. And if it does get involved, and if, as I mentioned, right, if it is the case that it is an inevitable matter, then once it does come in, what are some of the concerns you see coming about?
Okay, so in terms of the potential of adoption of AI in the Sharia decision making process, I believe that's the core of the question. Um, as a research tool, I believe that is one of the possible areas that it could be adopted. Because again, you are general and you're mentioning of AI, but let's just say the AI that is used for collecting, categorizing, and analyzing large amounts of data. Okay, so the machine learning, or the large learning models, these types of AI, if these are adapted in a certain way to help in doing Sharia research, could be very useful. If it's able to get to a reasonable level of accuracy, uh, collecting information, reviewing information, summarizing information. These uses are helpful, and these could be definitely useful tools for Sharia advisors in order to make their decisions. But as far as making decisions, this becomes an ethical issue. This becomes an ethical issue because when we're making decisions about people's lives, somebody has to be responsible. Okay. There has to be accountability. So, is there any accountability onto a software? Can we take accountability? Can we take a software to court? Can we take a software, to jail or anything like that? No, we cannot. So the accountability for decisions has to be with a human being. We have to understand that, when we're talking about giving fatawa, because I know that's the core of the topic of the event today. When it comes to giving fatawa and things like that, this is something that goes on your hisab, yani, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is no hisab for an AI or for a software. So in the end, we believe that, you should take opinions from scholars that you trust. There is amana also for whatever opinions that is given by a scholar. There is also ajr. If there is it's a hadith about man ijtahada wa asab, and whoever gives ijtihad and he is correct, then he has two ajr from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whoever makes ijtihad and he is incorrect, he has one. And the software doesn't have ability to get ajr, or to make niyyah for ijtihad. So there's many elements in giving sharia opinions that are required to be a human being, and one of the to fulfill the requirements of having the ability to give Sharia opinion, you definitely need to be a human being. So these things can give can be structured in different ways. Now there's cases where different uh, government entities have tried to outsource certain decision making processes to AI, and there have been some very serious errors that were made. And there's a documentary about it. If you are interested in that, it's called Coded Bias. Coded Bias. This is a very, very good documentary for everyone. It's actually available on Netflix. But you should definitely see this documentary and understand what happens when you try to outsource human decisions to an algorithm. So yeah, I would just say in general, just to give you a brief answer in summary, for as a research tool, as a tool for gathering information, organizing it. This is a good use. For decision making, it has to, for the reasons that I gave you before, it has to be with a human being.
Understood. Okay, so you've mentioned some ethical issues. You said that there needs to be accountability, right? That someone needs to be responsible, right? Just quickly before we jump into the next question, right? The counter argument to what you've said is yes, accountability is important, right? And to ensure that, let me say, what the main objective, right, of any matter is to ensure that we get to the intended objective, right? And so if it is the case that AI has access to a wider pool of data and information, essentially they're more quote unquote trained or educated or informed on matters, then why isn't it the case that we could rely on the fatwa of artificial intelligence systems, provided that their information is perhaps more accurate, right? What is it that is? I know you mentioned the ethical issue of lack of accountability. You can't take an artificial intelligence system and put it in jail or implement the qisas or hudud or something like that. But isn't the objective accuracy of fatwa? So what would you say to that argument?
I would say, how do you define the accuracy of a fatwa?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll ask you back. How do you define the accuracy of a fatwa? How do you
It's
determine
not me.
that
I'm
this
just
fatwa
arguing
is
on behalf
more?
of someone.
Well, whoever you're arguing on behalf of, you have to represent them well. You are the AI of the person who gave you the question. So you said accuracy.
Yeah.
You said accuracy. I'm saying define it. How do you define this fatwa is accurate and this fatwa is less accurate?
Okay. Well, it's based on the fact that the AI has relied on the fatwa of
No,
previous
no, you. No,
myself.
you. How do you define the accuracy of a fatwa?
Well, I mean, it obviously there's two aspects to it. There is the not the information, and then there's the application, right? And the person that is exposed to the most amount of information is more likely to get the most accurate output. Are you disagreeing with that statement?
I'm listening.
Well, that's the argument that I've heard some people make, right? That
I'm listening.
yes, a scholar is someone who has vast knowledge, right? He has undergone the trainings and whatnot, and he has now gotten to a point where he has, based on his experience as well, he's now issuing fatwa, right? So if you have a system that has not all the books of Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, all the books of Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam Malik, and all these books within its pool of knowledge, if you like, then yes, the ethical issue is there, but then isn't the information reliable?
Now, I would say you've opened up the points that need to be discussed.
Okay.
Because number one, you're assuming that the more books someone has,
Yeah.
the more quote unquote accurate their decision making will be.
Okay.
So again, Islam is not math.
Okay.
Do we agree?
Yes, yes, I do. That's not my argument, just to be clear.
No. I mean, I'm having a conversation with you.
Yes, yes.
Islam is not math. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely, yes. It's much beyond that.
Okay.
Mhm.
So let's say you have an AI
Okay.
and you want to ask them what's the right answer. Do you
Okay.
think that an AI can give you an opinion that no Muslim will disagree with?
No, I mean, everyone has an opinion. So,
So it's an opinion.
yes.
It's an opinion. And
Okay.
everybody has opinions.
Yes.
So no matter how many books you put inside of the software, you will get an opinion. You will
Opinion, yes.
not get the ultimate truth. Who has the ultimate truth?
Allah Azza wa Jal,
Allah
every.
subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only
Uh-huh.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the ultimate truth.
Mhm.
And we have examples from the lives of the Sahaba where, for example, the Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahaba, لا يصلين أحدكم إلا في بني قريظة. Okay, you know this case?
Mhm.
So the Sahaba were traveling, and the Prophet ﷺ went ahead and he told them that none of you should pray Asr except in the place called Bani Qurayza. And he went ahead, in order to go fast. And so this group of Sahaba were traveling, okay? And while they were traveling, they were going as best as they could. But then the time for Salat al-Asr came while they were still on the way to Bani Qurayza. So now they had to make a decision. Do we stop and pray the Salah? Because in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. This is a verse from the Quran, right? It's a verse from the Quran. How can you go against a verse in the Quran? Okay. And then one group said, we have to pray now because that's the hukum from the ayah. The highest level of dalil is from the Quran. But the second group said, the Prophet ﷺ told us we have to pray in Bani Qurayza. So now you have a conflict
Yes.
between what's in the Quran and what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said.
Mhm.
So what do you do? What's the most intelligent thing to do in this situation? Yeah.
You tell
So
me.
there's a hadith. There's a
Yeah.
hadith. There's a hadith. I'm just asking into question. Hopefully that the audience will be paying attention. Yeah, there's a hadith that mentions استفتي قلبك when أفتاك الناس وأفتوك. Have you heard this before?
Mhm.
Have you heard this before?
Yes, yes, yes. I have this.
Yes, okay. All right. Yeah, this is kind of quiet. Yes. So again, this means in English, استفتي قلبك. Yani ask for fatwa from your heart, even if people give you fatwa and they give you their opinion.
Okay.
So again, there is something where you have to, you know, see what's right in your heart, even though you may have opinions of certain people there. There's a certain what can we say, that conscious, it says like الذم ما حاك في صدرك. In the hadith it says what is wrong is something that is makes like an itchy feeling inside of your heart. So these kinds of perception that come from the heart, these things that come from your conscious that we have as a person, it requires a soul to have these things. It requires a soul, you know, to have that itch in your heart that we call as what is a them. So these are key things. So now we come back to the situation. Are you still with me?
Yes, yes, yes,
The
yes.
screen froze.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, the screen froze. So we come back to the situation of the hadith that I mentioned, right? So the لا يصلين أحدكم في بني قريظة. So one group of the Sahaba want to follow what the Prophet ﷺ said. One group want to follow what the verse in the Quran said. So they broke into two groups. Okay, one group went ahead to Bani Qurayza. They didn't pray until they got there. Another group they stopped, they prayed, and then they continued. So what happened after that? The people, the Sahaba, sorry, once they all gathered in the destination, what did they want to do? They wanted to find out what is the most accurate fatwa for the situation.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So what did the Prophet Muhammad say? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, both of you are correct. So this is something that even some people who have a more of a technical background, you know, more mathematical background and things like that. Sometimes there's a difficulty in dealing with multiplicity of truth, which is that more than one thing can be true at the same time, even though it may seem to be conflicting. This very much conflicts with math. You know, if we say one plus one is one and one plus one is two in certain situations, and in certain situations it's 1.5. That does not compute. You know, the robots you always see in the movie does not compute. This kind of situation will not compute for the robots that have been optimized for mathematical decision making. And a lot of things that AI has been programmed to do when it comes to decision making, a lot of it comes down to math, but
Mhm.
Islam is not mathematical. I'm not saying that it's that AI technology or these the different technologies that underlie AI that I've mentioned before cannot be used in certain ways to help us in the process of coming to conclusions. You know, we have a lot of information in the world of Sharia that can be organized and categorized and things like that. But outsourcing decision making, that's not something that would benefit us, you know, because in the end, we need a person that has amana, a person that has, you know, experience in the area, a person that has the ability to tap into the hikmah of the situation. You know, as is mentioned in the Quran, وَمَن يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Yani this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives, hikmah of the situation. Sometimes there's something clearly, you know, there's something clearly right or wrong. You know, like for example, we say, you know, in the case of you know, stealing, it is haram, you know, this is right or wrong. But there's when the time of Majaa came, I think it was Umar bin Khattab, he decided that okay, when there is a famine, we will remove the punishment of hudud for stealing if somebody is stealing food. So there's a hikmah that has to be applied to the situation. And when it comes to artificial intelligence, there's a very nice definition that I read that I want to share with you. Just a moment, please. Yeah, so there was an AI researcher who gave a good definition of AI. He said basically AI is a system that uses historical information to make a prediction about the future. And basically, you know, this information that is put into the computer is determined by human beings. So, what information from the past is put into the AI system is determined by the people who are creating the AI systems. And if you look at it, there's a very narrow group of people nowadays who are creating the AI system. Mostly they live in one or two particular countries or, you know, a small group of countries. And the demographic of those people is a very specific group, so the information that they use is very narrow. There is bias within it, you know, even though they didn't intend it to be that way, but it is. So yes, we have to understand that these systems are man-made and they are, uh, you know, they are limited as well. Even though they may seem incredibly intelligent because they answer very fast, but they do have limitations.
Okay, okay. Now, Sheikh, you've mentioned you've changed th whoever this person I was arguing on behalf of perspective on this matter. Right? You mentioned a
Okay.
lot of great. You see what I'm doing? You started off with the ethical point, right? Which was a great point, but then the question of accuracy could, in a sense, overshadow this issue of ethics, right? However, you've very rightfully mentioned that decisions need to be based on a plethora of factors, right? And it has to be based on a lot of things, and one of them is the soul, as you mentioned, right? The soul, the hikmah, and artificial intelligence unfortunately does not have the hikmah, right? At all, right? It has a
Oh,
mathematical formula, right? It has the
you
capacity to
disappointed?
learn based. Sorry.
You disappointed?
Sorry. No, not at all, not at all.
You're
The person I'm
disappointed
arguing
that
with
AI doesn't have.
might be.
You said you said unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
you
Oh, skip of
you were
tongue, skip of
hoping to
tongue.
get your Mufti AI to answer everything you wanted, huh?
No, no, not at all. Slip of tongue, Malish. Yes, but the story you mentioned was a very interesting one, as you mentioned, where um, the ultimate truth is something we don't have in no one person, let me say this, no one person has the ultimate truth today, right? Allah Azza wa Jal has communicated to us um, via the Quran as well as through the Prophet when he was alive. But in our current times, we don't have the Prophet with us, and we're not communicating directly with Allah Azza wa Jal. Hence, hence we have to make ijtihadat, right? And scholars have to make their ijtihadat. And their ijtihadat, as you mentioned, is based on a list of things: the ethical component, the historical context, the cultural sensitivities, the so many factors, right? And it has to be based on, as you mentioned, the soul within the person, and that's something, as far as I know, AI would not be able to develop, right? Because in that case, they would be creating something from nothing, and that is obviously something we don't need to discuss at all. So the last and final question, perhaps I would like to ask from you, is the following, right? If you had a few minutes with all the current and up and coming Sharia advisors of the Islamic finance industry, right? You got to sit down in a nice room where everyone is drinking qahwa arabiya with some tamar or maybe a chai or adani, whatever the case might be, whatever might be, or a cup of tea. What would your message be to the mashayikh, as I mentioned, the current ones and the ones that are up and coming? What would your message be to them regarding AI? Is the question clear? Or should I
Oh, it's a very
rephrase
good
it?
question. Yeah. Question is clear. Your question is clear. I'm just trying to take a moment to think about it. That's a very grand gathering and a very grand moment to have. Subhanallah. I mean, I would say that I think a few initiatives need to be taken rather urgently. Number one, we need to start allocating our people in the area of Sharia research or Islamic finance research into researching the topic of AI ethics. This is a whole area of, of academic research. The ethics of using artificial intelligence, what is going to be allowed and not allowed in terms of law or in terms of legality of using artificial intelligence in the future is still being determined, and we need people with our background to be in those conversations, because there are people in certain places that use AI in the bank to determine who gets the loan, who doesn't get the loan. And when people want to ask why didn't I get the loan, they just say, oh, the system rejected you. Well, what happened in the system? The people always say, oh, we don't know, just trust the system, just trust the system. But sometimes there's biases, coded into the systems that are used in the banking system to determine who gets a loan, who doesn't get a loan, how much of a loan one person gets or doesn't get based on things like your race, your ethnicity, your age, your gender, different things like that. If the banks are determining these things with AI, and the AI cannot be questioned, because this is one of the things people kind of want to go towards. They first glorify this AI as being incredibly intelligent, and the next step is it becomes unquestionable. Because it's so intelligent, you can't question it. Like, look how many questions it can answer. Look how fast it can answer. Look how many resources it can review within so many seconds. So how could you possibly question this thing that has so much information and so much quote unquote intelligence? But like I said before, it doesn't have wisdom. It doesn't have the ability to take into consideration certain human elements. It's looking for a series of what can we say, data points that it can filter in through, and then come out with basically a binary answer to a certain question, which is either accept, reject, yes, no. That's the eventual result that a lot of these algorithms that have been used, for example, in financial industry, even in some cases, you'll see in the documentary that I mentioned to you, even in teacher evaluations, basically determining whether people get promotions or not. They put just certain data into a system, and the algorithm, will come out and say, promote this one, don't promote this one, fire this one. But how did that result come out? The people who are putting the data into the system don't know. So there is a major, life-changing consequences to some of the uses that people have tried when putting AI or algorithms into decision-making positions. Okay, so these are some practical examples. Like I said, when evaluating people at work, evaluating people, when they're coming to their applications for financial services and things like that, algorithms have been implemented mostly in Western countries, to see this, to make decisions on this. So this is not a research application. This is decision making application. So we need to allocate people, from Islamic finance background to research on the ethics of AI, and also we need, to collaborate with people from the IT background to start developing tools, for using AI, related to Islamic finance applications. So we have those tools first before somebody else does, because somebody else will figure it out, and they'll just figure out a way to make a lot of money from it. But it may have, flaws in it, or may have biases that are not good in it. It may not be accurate, and people from Islamic finance won't even know what's happening because it was made by just an IT company with maybe one or two, Sharia advisors. So if I had all the Sharia advisors in the industry and everything like that, I would say that whenever the first Islamic finance, Sharia AI comes out, it should be something that is supported and something that is guided by the majority or a large number of the existing Sharia experts that we have, so that we don't have to worry about someone from outside developing it and then trying to take a reactionary position to try to evaluate it and figure it out and come out with a response. So be proactive on this matter rather than reactive, because it's moving fast. Yeah,
Right.
that would be my take.
Your take, right? Jazakallah khairan for that. Everyone in that room hopefully gets time to really sit down and unpack what you said over there. So I think it's unfortunately made clear, right, that the role of AI should be limited to the research assistant role, right?
Why do you keep saying unfortunately?
It's just a way of speech, It's right. So you made it clear that the role of AI should be limited to research assistant, assisting the actual scholars in collecting data, collecting information, and it shouldn't be the final decision maker, right? That's what I'm understanding from you. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's the nod of approval.
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, you also mentioned that there needs to be proactiveness within the industry, right? That scholars need to collaborate with people from the field of IT, and they need to synergize their efforts so as to produce results that are ethics-based and more accurate, right? So those are all the questions that I have, right? But obviously, I'm not intending to be selfish. I'm sure the other participants over here have questions to ask, right? So this is your chance, brothers and sisters. Those of you who have questions to ask, please pose them. You could type them in the chat box. That would be the preferred mode. But if you feel like you want to directly speak to the Sheikh, then you could probably raise your hand and I will try my best to unmute you. Any questions? Do we have any questions? Right. Somebody please disagree with the Sheikh. Anybody? Any questions from the floors, brothers and sisters? Mm-hmm. We have a question. I think someone should be typing by now. Let's give it a minute. Hopefully we'll see something in the chat box. Did we have someone trying to speak just now? I heard noise just now, or oh, okay, that's a question. First question from Brother Shafiq. he asks over here, he says, Salam Sheikh, since AI relies on data or big data, are there any Sharia concerns regarding the sources of the data itself? And I think this is something you touched upon earlier, Sheikh Ahmed, but would you like to discuss it once more for the sake of Brother Shafiq?
Of course, of course.
Okay.
Any, whether it's AI or whether it's a human being, any the quality of the data will impact the quality of the decision or the quality of the results that we can come to. So I mean, if we're trying to make a decision and the quality of the information is bad, that will impact the decision. You know, and if the quality of the information is good, of course, that will have a positive impact on this decision. So I mean, if we're trying to, you know, train a AI, you know, related to a hadith, but the hadith that we're putting in are not, you know, sahih and things like that. So of course it's gonna affect it in a negative way, you know. So definitely the quality of the data is very important.
I see. I think to extend Brother Shafiq's point, right? You mentioned earlier about the ethical aspect of it. Yes. Um,
Yeah.
if it is the case that these tech companies, right, the input that they're, the data that they're putting into their, I'm not a tech person, so I don't know what the exact terminology is, but the data inputs, right? Um,
Yeah.
it should be in a sense biased, right? Biased towards the investors, right? Perhaps the consumers, their target consumers, right? So do you think that's actually what do you say to that claim, right? For someone who says that a tech company's data inputs align with the objectives, the vision, the mission of the investors as well as the target participants. Do you think there's any validity to that claim?
Um, I'm not sure. It's not really clear to me.
Okay.
But I mean, people in tech, they want to make a tool that works. So I mean, they're gonna customize it. You know, there's not one AI for everything. So I mean, everybody is building what suits their own situation. So I mean, if somebody wants um accuracy in something, that they will define it. The question is, you know, what is the question, or what is the type of question that's trying to be answered? What is the type of problem that's trying to be resolved? Like, are you trying to determine, you know, who are good performers or bad performers in a certain workplace? Are you trying to determine, you know, who are good borrowers or bad borrowers from a bank? You know, what are you trying to solve for? I mean, if you're just looking for you know, something like Google that just searches the internet to give answers, so then the thing that may have an impact is, you know, the websites that come up faster, you know, those that have the search engine optimization, they have an advantage in Google. We don't know, I don't know necessarily what references have the advantage in open AI when it comes to chat gpt. You know, which websites does chat gpt check first? Which ones get pushed to the bottom? I don't know. So there is a method for, you know, choosing the information, and you know that has to be it has to be calibrated, you know, to achieve certain objectives. But again, like, what's good information, what's bad information? Like, for us, you know, we have you know, certain references that we consider the best references, you know, for Islamic finance or for Sharia. But for somebody who's not an expert, you know, they may just, you know, see whatever comes first in Google, and they might put that as the, you know, the first reference. So choosing references for the AI to draw from requires people with expertise in the area that know that, okay, these are good references, those are bad references. So again, there needs to be a human being. But if somebody, you know, is only familiar with, for example, references in English, maybe they don't know about the references in Arabic. If somebody's good with references in Arabic, maybe he doesn't know about the good references in Urdu, you know. You know, because there's a lot of knowledge of Sharia that's available in Urdu that may not be available in Arabic. So, you know, the finding the right references for a topic requires expertise in that topic.
I see. All right, I think that's a fair answer. But what's your view on rendering mandatory a subject on artificial intelligence, for example, in universities. Right?
Excellent. Great idea. Excellent idea.
Do you think it's necessary, or do you think it should be like like an elective subject? If you were a rector or a principal of a university or a school, would you introduce it, or would you, you'd be on the fence on it?
I mean, if it's in a school, I mean, depending on the level. I mean, I think, teachers need to be trained about it, so they know what their students will be using eventually when they're doing homework. So now people can make assignments with AI for sure. Maybe some people inside of the webinar today have already done that, you know. I don't know why you're smiling.
Uh, See, it seems like you were talking to me directly. I don't know.
No. I said some people,
Some people,
maybe.
okay.
You're
Unfortunately,
just the only one I can look at, So that, this is possible that the students of the future, not possible, this is a reality that students of the future will have very easy access to AI. Students of the present time have it. And we know that people are making assignments using ChatGPT and things like that. This is well known. So now it's a matter of teachers, upgrading the teaching methodology to decide, okay, how do we still teach the techniques of research to our students within the current context? I mean, once upon a time, Google didn't exist, and then it came and people had to adapt. So now ChatGPT exists, so we have to adapt as well. And it may now require us to focus less on, quantity of pages that are produced and more on the quality of questions that we ask and, and the analysis that we create, on those questions. So this is definitely something that the teachers need to be educated on first and foremost, because if the if the students know all about AI and the teachers don't, then that's a bad environment. you know. So the teachers need to be trained and educated in this first and foremost.
Okay. A very interesting take, right? It's not just the students, right? Because a lot of people would focus on students learning about AI, whether through subjects or elective subjects. But I think, as you mentioned, right, it is very important for the trainers themselves, the professors, the lecturers, the school teachers to educate themselves as well, right? Or to be educated on these tools as well. All right. Okay, back to the chat box. Do we have any other questions? I don't think we have any other questions. I think everyone is in agreement with what you have said today, right? Or they're just in complete denial, perhaps, of everything you've said, which I don't think is possible.
Unfortunately.
It's a very powerful word, unfortunately. Right. But I think with that, inshallah, if there are no further questions, this is the last chance I would putting forth to the wonderful participants. If you have any questions that you want to ask, please do. I should probably ask this question. Yeah, we have a few more minutes, right? This is one that hopefully, right, you would give a straight answer on. Yes, are you ready for this question, Sheikh?
Are you assuming that my other answers weren't straight?
No, I'm just saying this for this particular one, because it's a really important one.
Okay.
Okay, the question is as follows, right? And it's off of the last point that you just made, right? It's important for lecturers and students to be educated on, the AI systems and the tools. So the question I would ask is, what is your view on, obviously, right, Islam renders impermissible, right, acts like deception and cheating and lying and all those sorts, right? So for me to put forth an assignment, right, present an assignment and tell the professor that I spent days working on this assignment, when in reality it was just a chat GPT generated text and I modified it here and there, that would be deceiving the lecturer, right? So the question I'm asking you is, what do you think are the parameters for which students can use these chat GPT in their assignments that would take it from the circle of impermissible to permissible?
Very good question.
Asking for a friend of mine who has made this argument before.
So, in order to keep myself out of any legal or ethical problems, I will give you a very straight answer.
Yes, please. Bismillah.
The student should speak to his lecturer and ask this exact same question.
Allahu Akbar. All right. That's a fair answer, honestly, right? You're allowed to use it to the extent that the professor or the lecturer allows you to use it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, that I cannot give permission to somebody on behalf of somebody else who's the lecturer. The lecturer needs to define these parameters. So the students, if they want to be honest, just ask in the beginning of the class or the beginning of the assignment, to what extent are we allowed to use AI in producing our assignment?
Okay. That's a fair answer.
Yeah, and like I said before, if what I said in the previous question is implemented, this will already be taken care of. If the lecturers are trained on AI, as soon as they give the assignment, they will also give the parameters regarding using AI, because they know that students are going to try to use it.
Absolutely. That's hard to argue against that, right? I thought I caught you over there, but unfortunately, fortunately, right, you have answered that with grace. Jazakallahu khairan. Once more, you are the sheikh and I am the students in this situation. All right. So I think with that, to no further questions, right? I'd like to say thank you very much, dear sheikh of ours. You're out there in Bahrain. It's quite on your side. Thank you very much for making the time to share your knowledge, your wisdom with the participants, with myself in particular. Thank you for being a good sport, engaging with the banter that I have put forth. My sincerest apologies if I've said anything that that was not to your liking.
No,
because you discussed.
No, alhamdulillah. Right? Thank you very much for everything, brother. Alhamdulillah.
The pleasure is all ours. On behalf of Adel Advisory, I want to say thank you once more. Mufti Yusuf Sultan, I'm not sure if he's still here or if he's currently in Bangladesh. So, okay, he's not here, fortunately. But yes, the participants as well, I want to say thank you guys very much. Thank you all for joining today, for posing your questions, right? You might have reserved some questions for whatever reason, right? But inshallah, there'll be more sessions to come. And
inshallah,
last time we have our dear Sheikh with us over here. So sessions you can engage with him, right? You want to tell the people how they could find you, perhaps?
I mean, best is just to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm available there in LinkedIn, same name, Ahmed Sabri. If you have any questions or concerns, inshallah, you can reach out to me there, and inshallah, be happy to connect. Okay. Thank you very much, brother. I have to go now.
Okay.
Thank you very much again to the organizers. Jazakumullah khair. Inshallah, we'll see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah. Right. So, dear participants, that is all for today. Thank you for spending your Saturday morning or afternoon with us. We really, really appreciate you taking from the time. Hopefully, you have gained something from this discussion. If you have further questions regarding Islamic finance, education, training, advisory, reviewing, auditing, or consultancy, you can reach out to Adil Advisory on LinkedIn, on Facebook, wherever we may be, inshallah. Right. So with that, or in particular the email, salam, SALAAM at adiladvisory.co. I should repeat, salam, SALAAM at adiladvisory.co. Right. Please do not hesitate to reach out. We'd be more than happy to sit down with you for consultation or other matters related to Islamic finance or the Sharia generally. With that, we'll end our session with Tasbih Kifara and Surah Al-Asr. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, everyone. Have a blessed weekend. مع السلامة.